Welcome to The Author's Journey with #1 international best-selling author and in-demand publisher, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. Today, we'll showcase the works of an amazing best-selling author, find out the story behind their book, and explore ways to bring your message powerfully forward. Now, here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you on the Author's Journey, where we have the privilege and honor of talking to best-selling authors, people who have leaned in, answered that call, said yes to bringing their book, their message forward, and have released it into the world in such a way as it was received as a bestseller or above. Today, we're talking with an amazing expert. Her book actually became a #1 international bestseller, really powerful, very quickly, and I know you're going to enjoy the wisdom and insights that she has to share with us. So welcome, everybody. Thrilled to have you joining us today. And I wanted to focus our conversation around grace. I think we forget sometimes to extend grace. Pretty good at extending it to others. We frequently forget to extend it to ourselves as well. And for those of you, whether you are a reader, a writer, a listener, a whatever interaction you have with books, with the written format. Sometimes we're audio where we're listening to them. Sometimes we're readers. Sometimes we are a writer and author in ourselves. It's so important that we remember to extend grace to ourselves as well on the journey as we extend it to others. So today, as we share and Natasha shares her wisdom and insights with us, I want you to really see how you can hear the echo of grace and how you're receiving things, how you're talking to yourself even, and how you're exploring and expanding and stretching and expanding it and extending it to others. So pay attention. Just hear that question to check in on during our conversation today, and I invite you to really bring that forward, especially remembering to extend it to yourself. We frequently miss that. Welcome. I'm thrilled to have you all joining us. I encourage you to get a paper, a pen, be ready and available to capture those insights. We're also going to make sure you know how to get your copy of Grace's powerful book, and you may have that aha moment during our conversation today. Now, I encourage you to keep that piece of paper in front of you, ready to capture insights and informations and downloads that can support you. With that, let's take a collective breath together as we connect in, welcoming each and every one of you, becoming fully present as we lean in to learning and exploring things with Natasha. It is my privilege and honor to introduce Natasha McCoy to you. She is a #1 international best-selling author, Christian author, wife, and mother of 5 children, a licensed occupational therapist, earning both her master's degree in occupational therapy and bachelor's in applied psychology. She's advocated to raise government support and awareness for people with disabilities and has owned and operated a clinical practice along with being a leader and student advisor. She is absolutely passionate about helping you find your strength and peace in life. Pleasing in and warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and graceful Natasha McCoy. Welcome.
Hi, Rebecca. Hi. So happy to be here and share this journey with everyone.
I am thrilled to have you joining us. I am doing really, really well. Looking forward to the conversation. And how are you doing? How's the weather looking where you are? Because we're across the country from each other.
Yeah, it's actually very warm here. But it's being in Florida. It's during the summertime. It's at any inopportune moment you can just have downpours of showers. So but we've been really, really hot at this time of year. So just dealing with that heat.
Yep. Well, I hope that you're staying inside then, out of the heat.
I am.
Yep, good. Beautiful. We have nice weather here on the West Coast in California, so I love that we can talk across the country like this. It's just wonders of technology and reach all of our listeners around the world. I wanted to start our conversation with why. Why did you feel compelled to write a book and not only have that seed planted, but follow it all the way through? Because a book doesn't just happen overnight. It's a journey. There's a lot of sweat, blood, and tears, and then you think you're done and you're not quite done. And there's more to do. It can be that kind of a journey that takes a lot of persistence. And so you were led to do this and you followed it all the way through to publishing and releasing it in the world. So I'd love to know a little bit about why you felt called to bring a book forward and maybe something you've learned in the persistence of bringing it all the way forward.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned a keyword, blood, sweat, and tears. Tears. I did have a lot of tearful moments going through this journey, but it was at the end we realized it was all good tears, happy tears. Some in the beginning, sad tears, having to start and go through, kind of relive some of the trauma. But in the end, I was really happy to see it through because of the objective I was trying to achieve. So as you had mentioned, I was definitely impressed by God to share my story for my own healing process and basically to help others who have also gone through any type of trauma in their life. So for me, I've experienced childhood trauma inflicted upon me that no child should ever have to experience. However, coming out of that, as I grew older, just kind of finding ways to be the best me that I could be and being empowered. And I want to encourage people who've been through trauma, like what I've been through, or any type of trauma, that they can still live empowered and just kind of return that shame, the guilt, the anger, the pain, unforgiveness, and all those negative emotions that were transferred upon us and walk with our heads held up high. I think a big part of us we grow to be so fearful of being vulnerable, and we don't want to be transparent. People see and know what we've been through. But I've learned so much from that for me that it's a freeing process. It just felt there's a peace that came with that for me. So I'm really happy that I did what I did, and I pray that everyone else can learn from the book and use the resources in there to help them.
Thank you for sharing. I love that. And that the process of going through writing a book and writing it down and even reliving some of those things brought healing and a shift of perspective. And so the book itself, the creation of it, was such a powerful and profound experience, and that you were very clear on your goal and your objective, that you really wanted to help others and make their path a little bit easier. Anything you'd add to that?
I want to say that we deserve to walk with our heads held up high. What was inflicted upon us, no one asked for it. No one wanted it. No one deserved it. So I just want people to know that you can be so triumphant. You can be resilient, and it doesn't matter. We have all that instilled, ingrained within us. So kind of tune into yourself and find your strength within, and just to live the best way that you can.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Do you mind sharing the title of your book? Full title would be great. And I'm going to have you, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of what's the book's about. You touched on it just a little bit, but I'd love for you to expand on that.
Okay. So the title of my book is Steps of Grace, Ladder of Mercy. And it basically tells about my earlier years of struggle, having experienced childhood trauma, but just being, coming through that and being encouraged and wanting to encourage other men and women, because I believe that we all experience some type of trauma. It's different in our lives. However, with all that we can still be fulfilled, and despite of the painful past, we must be deliberate about wanting to cope better, because you don't overcome some of the types of trauma that has been inflicted upon us, but we can definitely be, cope better with it when we have, whether it's a memory or a flashback, but there's a deliberate action that we all need to take in living and empowered.
Beautiful. And you share that in your powerful book. Oh, I love that we
Thank
can.
You.
Yeah, and I love that vision that we can really hold our heads up high and release that shame, release that guilt, release whatever was put upon us, and really stand proudly in who we are and who we're becoming, that we can have that hope and peace and joy and grace for ourselves.
Yeah.
And others on the journey. And I feel like your book really stands for that and holds that space for people beautifully. And even from the feel of your cover, which is a very unique cover, I'd love for you to describe that so people, when they do go and look up your book, and we'll let people know how to do so, what they should be looking for. So can you describe your cover and how it came to be?
Sure. Okay. So the cover of my book, I actually, I was kind of debating what I wanted to put on the cover. I definitely know that I didn't want to put a cover of myself. So I wanted something that's kind of representative of different women in general. So I kind of was pleading with God, kind of show me what. I don't want to put me at it. So, it's not just about me, because trauma is, basically across the board. I went to God in prayer, and I remember just kind of having a vision and a dream. And God showed me the exact cover of my book. So it basically tells about a woman. And the woman, I did not give her any particular color, because I wanted it to be, speak to every woman who picked up that book. And it's not just for women, but men also. But because I am a female writer, I chose a female. And she's standing on two steps that are cracked down the middle. And when you look closely, the hands of God are holding the steps together so that they don't widen anymore. But had not been for the hands of God holding it together, her foundation would have, basically been shattered, because it wasn't certain. So she would have fallen to her demise. However, while God is holding those steps together, he's also extending the ladder from heaven and the light that to draw her attention to him. And when she looks up, she's actually heading towards that light. She's heeding to his calling and going towards him for safety. So that basically, although we've had, her path was uncertain, unsteady, there was God's grace and his mercy calling her out of devastation.
You had someone special create this cover for you.
Yes, I did. So I was kind of thinking also, how can I get to do the illustration of the work for me? And then I thought of my niece who lives in another country, and I called her up, and she actually, we had a phone conversation, and I was just describing to her, what it was. And when I got the drawing back from her, she nailed it to the T, and her artistry is amazing. And, so I love that even more because of the connection and, that she literally put her heart into it. And I told her the colors that I wanted, because they're my favorite colors, burnt orange and the green. And so she just put everything together so beautifully. So because of that connection and the love and, that family bond, it just makes that book cover just even more appealing to me.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think that's really beautiful and special. And what I love, it's such a powerful illustration and so perfect for your book and the content in it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'd love for you to share for people out there who are taking notes, leaning in, would love to add this to the library. What is the best way for them to do that?
To connect with me?
To both connect with you as well as add this book to their library, get a copy.
Oh, so they can actually, I know for sure, we have it on Amazon currently, and it will be in Barnes & Noble's Books A Million and other various platforms. But right now I know we do have it on Amazon, and we also have it in Kindle version.
Perfect.
And,
I love that. And they can just look up Steps of Grace, Ladder of Mercy, and
Natasha McCoy.
Perfect. Well, I love that. So listeners, I hope that you wrote all of that down. We'll remind you at the end of the show as well. But we are getting ready to go to our first commercial break. And as we do that, I wondered, as you reflect on the journey, and we have anyone out there who is looking at writing their own journey, that they're feeling that call, that pull to do so, do you have a piece of advice or tip that you would give them?
Sure. I really want to say for anyone, just kind of believe in yourself and believe that if you want to bring your story forward, don't give up. You have to be determined, be encouraged. And you're going to go through a lot of emotions. And if you need a counselor to kind of guide you through any type of emotions that that may surface as you begin writing that journey, just being determined to complete it. There are strong feelings of, freedom, that come up from, and that may captivate you. Just kind of bringing that forward and know the reason, try to understand, identify, and understand the reason why you're bringing your story forward, and just be encouraged and stay determined in seeing it through.
I like that. I think that's so powerful, really knowing that why, because that can help focus and encourage when things get hard and challenging on that journey. That why can give such clarity and inspiration. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Listeners, as we go to our first commercial break, I encourage you to take a moment, especially for those of you who are feeling that pull, that time to bring your message, your story forward. Take a moment and just feel into that question. Why? Why are you feeling called? What are you hoping to achieve? Really explore that and get clarity and feel that excitement and purposefulness kind of course through you as you write down some of your thoughts around that. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Enjoying our shows and can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram at Voice America Talk Radio and see what we're cooking up for you.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you wrote down some great thoughts. You felt that excitement for bringing forward what you've been called to bring forward. And what I want to let you know is if you're feeling that pressed upon you to bring your story, your message, your journey forward, there's a reason. It's because people need it now, not someday, not eventually, not when it's comfortable, but there's a needing it now, exactly the way you are made and your voice and your way of sharing it. So I really want to encourage you to find those next steps forward. It's not a solo journey. You can get support on the journey. I love how Natasha mentioned that as well, especially if there are those sensitive parts. Remind yourself that you can lean in and get support to bring your book and your story forward. One of the resources I'd like to make available to you as our gift today, you can find on the Emerging Author Series with an S.com. It's plural, emergingauthorseries.com. We have a collection of 8 or 9 different ebooks. each of them focused on different areas of the writing process, from I have an idea, how do I structure it, to I've written it, now what, myths and truths about publishing and launching, all the different things that we have people inquiring about or really wanting to know to be able to bring their book, their voice, their message forward. So I encourage you to lean in, choose as many of the different chapters that are supportive of you. Again, you can find that at emergingauthorseries.com. And with that, to continue our conversation, I love what Natasha has shared in her journey and what she's discovered and some of her beautiful advice to support you in bringing your books forward. I love what she shared about the cover, and I would love for her to share with us a little bit of a reading from her book. I asked if she'd prepare that for us today, and she said yes, and has created a reading. And this really gives us an opportunity to feel in and get the heartbeat of what she has created and brought to the world. And just a reminder, this book, when it was released in the world, it became a #1 international bestseller. It hit 26 best-selling categories, 6 of them #1. So very powerful. It's resonated with a lot of people in multiple countries. And today I'm very honored to have Natasha with us. And Natasha, I can't wait to hear what you selected to read to us.
Okay. So, Rebecca, I chose the chapter 7 of my book, basically, which is part of the continuation of the empowerment part, and it's entitled Overcoming and Becoming, just so, again, to just kind of help people better understand and know what some of the things they need to do to help themselves further heal. And the chapter, like I said, is Overcoming and Becoming. Nothing is impossible with God. So when we reflect on the roller coaster whys and wherefores of life, and if, like me, you've moved from crisis to crisis, we need to understand that true healing is possible, but it can only come from God, the ultimate healer, and only through a full surrender. I am a witness that God is able to take us from a place of surrendering to the wishes of the enemy who seeks to destroy to full surrender to a God who is able. The truth is that because God loves us so much, he is not willing that anyone who trusts him be turned away with issues unresolved. That is, in a nutshell, in my view, of forgiveness. Forgiveness moves you out of victim mode. Forgiveness settles the scores and leads to emotional and physical bondage. Forgiveness draws you further and farther away from your abuser and closer to the Father. Forgiveness frees you to worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Forgiveness is what God grants to his children every day, as often as they ask. So as I speak with a now unchained voice, I need to make one thing perfectly clear. I am bound to forgive my perpetrators, yet in no way am I releasing them from the terror and harm that they inflicted on my young life. My singular prayer is that they will move toward accountability and surrender so that they may be forgiven by their Creator. I needed to release anger and shame, which had united in an unholy matrimony within my heart following my abuse. I discovered I had taken on an issue for which I no longer had vigor. Until I surrendered myself and the predicament over to God's reins, I wasn't able to completely forgive and move forward. It is possible. I pray it will happen. For when we understand that the stench of our sins is no match for God's mercy, nothing is impossible. Therefore, we must never allow our sins to become greater than God's grace. Dear God, as I march along in the healing process, I want to also pray for the salvation of my perpetrators. This moment is a watershed moment, Father. So in humble pleadings and mindfulness of my own failures, I pray that you will look into the hearts of the ones who have wronged me so terribly. Snatch them, I pray, from the jaws of the enemy. And I'll conclude right there.
I was thinking ... Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I love your use of language, the thoughtfulness that goes into every word and every phrase that you share. What an encouragement about overcoming and knowing that God is more than able. And I even love how you have a prayer for your those who harmed you, those who hurt you, how you stand in that with forgiveness, grace, but there's also an accountability, how you've woven all of that together so eloquently. Oh, really, really powerful. I appreciate your reading.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Anything you would add to that?
I just want to let people know, I was years ago. I was speaking with someone who basically went through this similar ordeal that I did, and she told me that a counselor had told her that she does not need to forgive. And for me, I felt like in order for us to move on and release a lot of that, what we've gone through, the feelings and emotional bondage, we have to forgive. We have to let go, because if we're not letting go of the things that are eating away of on us internally, then we can't live fulfilled. And the goal is to live fulfilled, be empowered. And I think by giving that forgiveness, it's releasing yourself. So that if someone walks into a room, your mood doesn't change. You don't feel like you have to run away or run under a shell or a rock and hide, but you can stand up boldly because I did not do this to myself. You're the person who inflicted the pain on you should be the one running and hiding, but you should be walking around pridefully that, hey, I can live in spite of I'm still here. In spite of what you wanted to do, I'm still here, and it's all because of God's mercy. So God forgives us every day, and for me, in order for me to live freely and to the fullest, I encourage everyone to just embrace God's forgiveness and extend that grace to someone else, like you mentioned it earlier in the show.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, and really be in that place where they're living with their head held high and confident because of that, the forgiveness they've been able to extend and release and not have it have a hold on their life anymore. So powerful. Good. I love that. So yeah, absolutely. And I was just reflecting on the journey, because I know I've had the opportunity, you and I have had many conversations on the journey, and all the way to bringing it forward and sharing it with the world, having it so powerfully received. When you reflect back on the journey, was there something that surprised you in the publishing and launching process that you want to share about? Maybe something that surprised you, caught you off guard, or I didn't know that was part of it, and kind of opening that up and letting the future writers out there know.
So what definitely surprised me is and I shared with the other people, my friends and family, it's literally, I felt like, when we read a book, we just think that, okay, someone just wrote the book and just submitted it to the publisher, and the publisher just took it and ran with it. That's not so. It was a rude awakening for me because I got to find out that as the author of your work, you are very involved in bringing your writing or your story to what you truly want it to be. You don't have to accept any, the suggested changes by the publishing team, or nothing is forced upon you. You get to keep parts of your writing in its raw state if you choose to. But, they will just kind of better guide you. But it's not that you just hand it over to someone and they just take it and, do whatever they want with it. So that, for me, it was a learning experience. And that was my thought initially. But I was very involved along this journey. Like you said, we had many interactions, feedbacks, and, your input, and which was really, really good. The other surprising thing for me was having achieved a #1 best-selling international, not just within the U.S., but like I said, internationally, including the time span and the number of categories being in the top 100. That, for me, was like, that was another watershed moment.
Did it take time to kind of take in and process, or what about that was especially meaningful to you?
Okay. So, it was like very, because I know, like I said, I did pray and ask God, okay, I wanted to be, I want to get the #1 best-selling. No way or where in my mind did I even entertain the thought of #1 international. So when I got the call from you, I literally fell to my knees, just in prayerful tears. I was just so gracious, so grateful, and thankful to God, for leading me to get to this point. I know that I wanted my book to touch many lives, but it's like I felt like God just showed up and showed out exponentially. Mm-hmm. And that to me was really, really heartfelt. I was excited. I felt like people will ask me, how do you feel? And I felt like I feel like I'm on cloud heaven. And they're like, cloud 9? I'm like, no, cloud heaven, because number 9 it's a limited number. But cloud heaven is like innumerable. So it took a few days to come down from that cloud, and I think I'm still walking in that cloud. I still have my moments, but it's truly a great achievement, and I'm humbled by it, honestly, because still some people are asking me, do you know what you've achieved? Do you understand? I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. And I think for me, maybe what people are not getting from me, the excitement of maybe doing cartwheels, not that I can't do cartwheels, but is that because I know I've prayed to God and asked him for the objective of this book, I've never prayed for financial gains or anything. So the purpose is to my healing and the healing of people out there who are hurting, because I've encountered so many people over the years prior to writing my book and even after. So I feel like, okay, God is really doing his thing.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And you got 6 number ones, not just one or two. Yeah. So I love how God showed up so powerfully in that and above and beyond. And I'm glad that you're still in cloud heaven as you take that in and celebrate. And I love, again, how clear you are on your purpose, your why, your objective, and what you were hoping the book would do and is doing. And this is just the beginning as it ripples out into the world. So just congratulations again on you're welcome, your amazing success and all the lives that are being touched. And I can't wait to see it continue to ripple out as it spreads and more formats and locations make it available. I know there are more and more lives that will be touched. So I'd love for you, if you have any final tip, piece of advice, whether it's around publishing, writing, or extending grace in our lives and journey, I'd love for you to share.
Yeah. So extending grace to others, I would like to say grace, because God basically extends, as we know, grace is unmerited favor. So we don't deserve it. So in spite of what we go through, we live in a world where, things happen, atrocious things happen, things we feel like we don't deserve. But sometimes at the end of the day, I like to do what's called introspection. Just kind of reflect on, okay, I know someone may have done something or stepped out of line with me. Have I done that to someone? In the same way, if I recognize that I've done that, I would like grace extended to me, to be forgiven or kind of have a new start. And so it's the same way that's kind of extending grace to people, no matter what they would have done or said, just rise above and be better. People's lives are, they experience so many things, and sometimes the behaviors that we see is because of those experiences. So step out of that and just kind of, you deserve to live and be the best person. We all do, in spite of our experiences, in spite of the past, and the past does not define who we become. So live empowered.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Letting that sink in so deeply for our listeners. And for those who are leaning in, and this is just a taste of Natasha and just a taste of her book, I'd love for you to share, again, the best way for people to connect in and go deeper with you, as well as get a copy of your powerful book.
Okay, so you can reach me on Instagram at Nat McCoy Novels, that is, with S at the end. And on Facebook, Natasha Roxy McCoy. LinkedIn, Natasha McCoy at LinkedIn.com. And my Gmail is Natasha McCoy Novels, S at the end, at gmail.com. Instagram, Nat McCoy Novels, S. Facebook, Natasha Roxy McCoy. LinkedIn, Natasha McCoy at LinkedIn.com. And my Gmail, Natasha McCoy Novels, with S, at gmail.com.
Perfect. I love that you're available on so many different social media platforms. That's wonderful.
Yay,
And then your book, again, is available on Amazon, soon to be on barnesandnoble.com, Books A Million, and various other platforms. So we're excited about that. And I just want to thank you again for joining us today. I appreciate your encouragement, your wisdom, and your insights that you shared with us today.
Oh, it was absolutely indeed my pleasure.
Thank you. And listeners, we thank you for tuning in. I hope that you took some great notes. I encourage you to lean in and connect with Natasha. I know she'll be a great encouragement on your journey. Also, I encourage you to get a copy of her powerful book. It's very impactful. It will touch your heart. It will touch your spirit. And I know you will be encouraged and moved by it. So I invite you to lean in, get your own copy, and do make sure to check out the emergingauthorseries.com to support you on your journey. And as you get ready to go back out into the world, I want to invite you to take a couple of moments just for you. Perhaps you want to continue the writing and the thoughts you had around why you're wanting to bring that book forward. Maybe you want to take a moment and just let some of what Natasha said sink in. But take some moments for you and then choose how you step back into your day, who you're going to be, how you're going to be. Keep reading, keep writing, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Author's Journey. Please join Rebecca Hall Gruyter for another edition of the Author's Journey podcast every Monday on the Voice America Variety Channel. And until we talk again, use some of the tips and inspiration from today's show to guide you as you lean in to bringing your message forward.